Welcome back again. Kerry and Tipperary coming up live from Semple Stadium in Thurles shortly. Team news right now from Thurles. That's our cue to head over to the commentary box to hear from Darragh Maloney and Martin Kearney.
Michael, thank you. It's a pleasant afternoon here at Semple Stadium in Thurles. A little dark overhead, the crowd still coming in, and despite all the changes in the Kerry panel over the winter, it's still a very formidable team selected by Jack O'Connor. Brendan Keeley has settled in nicely in goal, taking over from Diarmuid Murphy. It's his championship debut today. This is the same full back line from the All-Ireland final, but Mark O'Shea and Tommy Griffin have both been troubled by injury of late. It's also the same half-back line from September too, but all three are short of match practice. Mike McCarthy missed the league, and Tomás O'Shea has had knee and ankle problems in the last while. With Dara O'Shea gone, Micheál Quirke partners Seamus Scanlon, but is unlikely to last the full 70 minutes here today. The forward line is pure gold. Donncha Walsh keeping Darren O'Sullivan, the 09 captain, out of the team. And Colm Cooper is starting his 9th year on the team. Kieran Donaghy back to full fitness, having missed a lot of last year's campaign through injury. Now, Martin Kearney, that's the team. It's very, very strong.
Very, very strong. And there's two guys in particular I'd like to take a look at. Seamus Scanlon in midfield. And, you know, with Dara O'Shea exiting centre stage, I think the time is right, actually, for Seamus to assume the role of midfield general. In my mind, he has all the attributes. He's a good engine, he's a clever distributor, and he possesses an excellent attitude. Yeah, and then if you come up to Kieran Donaghy, well, I think of all those present today, Kieran Donaghy will have more reason than most for wanting a good start to the year. You know, last year he was blighted with injury, so he'll want to set down a marker for the coming season with a big performance today. OK, the reigning All-Ireland champions. We're going to look now at Tipperary. Two championship debutants on the Tipperary team today. Goalkeeper Paul Fitzgerald isn't one of them, though. He's had a good year with the team so far. Niall Curran and Kieran MacDonald, they will be busy marking Donaghy and the Gooch in that line. Kieran McGrath debuts at left half back, and in that line there's a concern about a lack of physicality with those three men. George Hannigan is expected to pick up Seamus Scanlon around the middle. That will be a test for him today. Peter Aitchison is the other new man to championship football at right half forward. He was man of the match in Tipperary's historic first Munster under-21 football success over Kerry in Tralee. And Barry Grogan, the man to watch in the full forward line. He's the free taker, but he's also very impressive in open play. They need him to have a big game today. Martin, your thoughts on their 15? Well, two guys in particular that catch my eye here. Kieran MacDonald, I think, at left cornerback, number 4. Again, is a player of immense potential. He's a medical student in UCG. He's tight, he's tigerish, and I think all of his wits will be tested today in his tussle with Colm Cooper. And then if you go up forward, and looking at the Tipperary, one question obviously arises: who's going to get their scores today? And I feel myself the onus will fall on Barry Grogan, who will hope to carry his league form into today's match. OK, Martin, thank you very much indeed. We're about 5 minutes away from throw-in here. We'll go back to you, Michael, in studio.
OK, Darragh, we'll be back to you very shortly. Of course, before that, Pat Spillane. Let's just talk about John Evans, who is the tip manager, Kerry man, as I said. He'd know a lot of those lads very well. Knows Jack O'Connor, a good manager, a good man.
Oh, John Evans is an outstanding coach. Coached and managed Lone Rangers an All-Ireland club title. Coached and managed Cairns O'Reilly's as well. He's a superb coach and doing an outstanding job with Tipperary. It's a pity in a way that, you know, it's the way to go in county management is that he was appointed director of football as well. And I cannot see the point of the GA refusing to endorse that role as director of football for the entire county because he's manager of the county team. I think it's the way to go for managers of county teams, but he's a great coach and a good organiser and a great motivator. OK,
Pat, thanks for that. Our Naveen coming up at Thurles. It's Tip versus Kerry, and in the commentary box, Darragh Maloney and Martin Kearney.
Michael, thank you. We're just going through the pre-match formalities. Crowd of around 6,000 here. The Canaan stand where we're situated is closed today, which makes it kind of eerie over here. There's maybe 100 people down below us, but the crowd seated over on the far side as you look at some of the Tipperary lads going through their last routines before we have the anthem, and we'll also have a minute's silence as well before the throw-in. There's Tommy Griffin. The same 6 backs from the All-Ireland final last September, but all 6 of them, we mentioned it in our run through the teams, they have had issues with injuries and lack of match practice. Mike McCarthy coming back for the first time since the All-Ireland final.
Well, it's fascinating when you hear of all the training players do and all the, strength and conditioning, weights, etc., etc. Mike McCarthy can step in after doing nothing all winter except playing a little bit of local soccer and take his place in the pivotal position of centre half back. And then up front, again, as you said, they're a platinum half forward line. Galvin, Declan O'Sullivan in particular, wonderful players. But Donegal Walsh on the left, I think sometimes is hugely underrated. Does an awful lot of hard work for the rest of the team, and Cooper there, and that we're looking at the moment, what a player. Really looking forward to him. I think he's starting his 9th season, I think.
Scored in every Kerry Championship match since 2004, which, well,
speaks for itself.
It does.
Yeah.
It certainly does. Now here in Thurles, a minute's silence in memory of those who died in the famine. Well, plenty of noise from the crowd of around 6,000 here at Semple Stadium. There's a pretty strong wind blowing from left to right as we look at it. And it is going to be helping Tipperary in the first half. They won the toss. And they're going to play with that wind at their backs in the first half. In the Munster Junior Championship quarter-final, which was played earlier on, Kerry beat Tipperary 113 to 9 points. The referee today, David Coldrick from Meath. Kerry beginning the defence of their All-Ireland crown. Not Munster champions, of course, but Cork. They're the provincial champions, and they await the winners of this quarter-final. Kerry on the attack straight away. Scanlon, Donegal Walsh, now Mike McCarthy. Paul Galvin dropping back behind him as Declan O'Sullivan gets away from Robbie Costigan. Now, there's been talk already after the earlier match at Celtic Park in Derry about the new rules. Well, that was taken from outside the boundary line, but possession surrendered and it's gone to Kerry, and Paul Galvin in towards Donaghy. Kieran MacDonald seems to be picking up Donaghy. We thought that MacDonald would go with the Gooch, but Paddy Codd has come across to pick up Colm Cooper, the right corner back. Galvin has seen a lot of possession inside the opening 50 seconds or so. Robbie Costigan. This is Kieran MacDonald, captain of the under-21s who beat Kerry in Tralee. That win gave Tipperary a lot of optimism coming into this game here today. Their mood changed, though, when they saw the Kerry team announced by Jack O'Connor during the week. Brian Sheehan from St Mary's foot pass in. The marking is absolutely awful on Donaghy. One way, then the other. Kieran Donaghy with the opening point of this Munster Football Championship quarter-final. And if Tipperary are going to be competitive today, they're going to have to be tighter on guys like these.
Yeah, I just felt again, Brian Sheehan was wondering there for a while what he was going to do with the ball. Kieran MacDonald was badly left for dead that time with the sidestep from Donaghy, who scored a very easy opening score. And as you said in commentary, actually, Kieran MacDonald has gone into full-back to Mark Donaghy, but he would be better off to stay side by side to him and not be trying to join the attacks as he was a minute ago.
Mike McCarthy just sweeping up behind that cluster of players. Paul Galvin. That's Hugh Coughlin, who plays his club football with St Vincent's in Dublin, the Tipperary number 12. Galvin to Declan O'Sullivan, absolutely flying in training for Kerry over the last number of weeks, we're told. O'Sullivan going high with that. Cooper trying to break it down, and that's good play by Kieran MacDonald. Robbie Costigan, the Tip captain, unable to keep that in. And you'll notice when this is kicked, one of the new rules which came into effect this weekend, voted through at Congress, the sideline kick has to be taken outside the boundary line, so there's no advantage to the team taking the kick. Here's Colin Cooper. Free is Killian Young, totally free. Young has had injury trouble as well. Robbie Costigan just hops off, and Declan O'Sullivan. Donegal Walsh unable to get to that, and Galvin just picking it up, literally. Free against Paul Galvin.
Yeah, one thing actually I find quite surprising is that Barry Grogan is playing out as a third midfielder. Tipperary have been favoured at the moment with a very strong wind, and yet they're playing a two-man full forward line, which I think is quite strange.
They've hardly had the ball. They haven't had the ball up here at all. It's been all Kerry in the opening 3 and a bit minutes. Peter Atchison, his championship debut. Sean Carey, another one of the under-21s. Philip Austin. Well, it worked out well in the end for Tipperary. Barry Grogan had got in after that, the Tipperary full forward, who was operating out the field.
Yeah, he made quite a bit of ground actually to get on the end of that ball, but again, I think it's Killian Young actually who got his hand to that ball. That was a good bit of defending.
Killian Young made up a lot of ground to get back as well, having been down the other end for Kerry about a minute ago. Barry Grogan, the free taker, with the 45. 44 and a bit, really, isn't it? So the breeze helping him. Grogan for Tipperary made good contact with it. Very good contact with it. That's a super point from Barry Grogan. And Tipperary level in Thurles in the 5th minute.
Yeah, that's a beautifully struck 45 again from a very difficult angle. It wasn't an easy kick at all, but struck with great confidence. Great start for Grogan and for Tipperary.
A point out of their first attack of the match. This is Brendan Keeley. He's made quite an impression. Big boots to fill, replacing Diarmuid Murphy. Keeley's had a decent league. Tipperary ball. And there you go, you see that wasn't taken from inside the boundary line, and there's a penalty against the Tipperary man, Hugh Coughlin.
Yeah, this is going to cause a lot of frustration actually today, because it's one of the rules that came in under the radar, so to speak. It wasn't experimented with in the National League. It only came out in the last week or so in the papers that this was going to be enacted, and I think now what you have is a throw-in.
Throw-in 13 metres from the line. Well, the hand pass was the one that got most attention. Mickey Hart quoted in the paper yesterday, not happy with the changes that were brought in. Here's Declan O'Sullivan for Kerry. Robbie Costigan there, and O'Sullivan just teasing the Tipperary defenders. Brian Sheehan. Good run forward from Mike McCarthy, and that's an illegal hand pass. It's difficult for the referees, but he spotted it.
Yeah, I thought there was an underhand action that time, but again, the referee didn't think so, and that's the one that counts.
It is indeed. Here comes Tipperary. Philip Austin loves to run it. Defenders, Austin! Fantastic goal! A goal for Tipperary in the 7th minute, and that is what Philip Austin does best. He just loves to run at defenders. That's the instruction he's got all week from John Evans, and this is a cracking goal. Tipperary in business here.
No fear whatsoever. A lovely assist that time from Hugh Coughlin. Again, just watch Philip Austin's determination, conviction, and a beautiful rising shot into the corner of the net that the debutant goalie Keeley could do very little about.
Well, Brendan Keeley beaten in the Kerry goal, and Tipperary, their tails up. Kerry, crucially with possession. Seamus Scanlon, Killian Young. Donncha Walsh. Tom O'Sullivan with a legal hand pass. We'll go back to that in due course, and you've seen it already, but just go through this new instruction. That's a Tipperary ball. And that was a free, not a line ball. They were shouting in at George Hannigan. One or two people down there thought it was a line ball. Here's Kieran McGrath of Tipperary. 1-1 to a point, and that one drops harmlessly short. The bounce caused Keeley to worry just a little bit. Mark O'Shea. And Tomas. Mike McCarthy. Hugh Coughlin in front of him. That's a tricky one for Quirk, but those giant hands just plucking the ball out of the air. Donncha Walsh. Here's Mike McCarthy. He's absolutely flying early on, and McCarthy in towards Kieran Donaghy. 3 players there for him. Here's the Gooch, and Cooper gets Kerry's second score. 2 points, 1 from Donaghy, 1 from Colin Cooper, and a nice, calm, measured response to the Tipperary goal from the All-Ireland champions.
Yeah, again, just watch the little loop around this time from Colin Cooper. Instinctively knows where to run when Donaghy gets the ball and finishes with a plum with his left foot. But again,
here's the hand pass.
Yeah, well, we just see this hand pass again. Is there a definite no, there's not a definite striking action.
He kind of palmed it away. The new rule, the ball has to be struck with the fist or open hand. If you use the open hand, it has to be with an underhand striking action, if that makes sense. But you'll see closed fist can be used, but it has to be an overhand action.
And I'd say in the first 2 or 3 weeks of the championship, you're going to have a lot of debate and a lot of confusion and an awful lot of arguments about this.
I think we've won brewing already. It's out of play. You'll notice during the course of the game, Brendan Keeley, he has a very good kick out, as you've seen, but he will try things. He'll try and maybe play it out short, just to vary things slightly. Chris Aylward with the line ball for Tipperary. Bit of a gap opens up. The 2-man Tipperary full forward line waiting. Peter Atchison. That's Walsh there getting back, and Atchison with a fine score. Championship debut, and that's the way to settle the early nerves. The goal may have done that for Tipperary anyway, but they still lead by that goal. We're in the 11th minute.
Well, it's delightful to see both Aylward that time and Atchison combining very well. Absolutely no fear whatsoever in them. Like, John Evans clearly has them enthusiastic, has them well coached, and again, they're just taking the game to Kerry, and it's, you know, no fear whatsoever in their play.
And a real tussle going on around the middle as that ball hung in the air. Mike McCarthy with the free for Kerry. Donncha Walsh. Keeping Darren O'Sullivan out of the team is work rate, and the way he drops back to help out in midfield, one of the big reasons he's in. Brian Sheehan. Cooper dragged back, free in. Certain point you would think coming up for Kerry.
That was actually beautiful by Cooper that time, the way he faked his run, went one way, turned to go one way, went the other, and again drew the foul in that way. Beautiful piece of skill.
It was Niall Curran, Paul's brother, who gave away the free. Was that the eye he had surgery on, Colin Cooper? That tear duct issue all sorted. And Cooper just strokes that over. Kerry's third point. Paul Fitzgerald has a really good kick out of the wind, is helping him, but he's hit the Kerry 65-metre line, but didn't hit one of his own players. McCarthy sending it up to Declan O'Sullivan. O'Sullivan to Cooper. Cooper getting out in front of Paddy Cobb more and more. And Kerry in here. Paul Galvin steadies down, and another point for Kerry, and that was so easy. Tipperary have their goal, but you see the difference in the way they're having to work for their scores. Kerry, when they go up there, you just think they're going to get at least a point.
Yeah, again, beautiful interplay again between Cooper, Declan O'Sullivan, and Galvin just coming in, you know, an outrider for the final pass. Again, just effortlessly takes the score. Lovely combined play by the half forwards.
A blood sub, that's Brian Fox, who was close to the starting 15. He's on while Hugh Coughlin receives treatment. Blood streaming from his mouth. If you remember when St Vincent's won the All-Ireland club a while back, Hugh Coughlin suffered a really bad black eye, so he's in the wars again. The Tipperary half forward, Brian Fox on temporarily. Killian Young. Seamus Scanlon, the more senior of the two Kerry midfielders. Quiet presence in the dressing room, but Scanlon, we're told, now starting to call kickouts and be more vocal with his teammates. And here he is, Seamus Scanlon. Tom O'Sullivan. Declan O'Sullivan came off the outside of his left boot. Donegal Walsh almost made good. Well, he has it for Kerry. The Gooch looking for it. Donaghy staying in close to goal. Cooper trying to work off him, and Donaghy has it. And that was thrown. The ball in the back of the net. It will not count. But Kieran Donaghy, here's the confusion, and this is what's going to happen more and more. Was this an illegal hand pass under the new rules?
Again, I thought there was an underhand striking action that time with the open hand. Technically, I think it should have been allowed, but again, we have said it, we have flagged it. There's going to be a lot of debate about this. But that seemed to me to be a good enough hand pass, because it's a clear striking action with an underhand movement.
But the teams who have been an hour in action in the championship this weekend were briefed during the week by officials from Croke Park to let them know. But this hand pass rule, particularly the way Kerry plays, the one that the Kerry players are most upset about, that was brilliant from Colin Cooper. They may be upset about the hand pass rule, but they've got themselves level. 3 points in a row.
Again, just watch the combination, the old firm again. Cooper again, delightful score from a difficult angle of what you would think is, you know, practically impossible with his left foot. Wonderful score.
Let's go down to the sideline and we'll join our reporter today, Darren Frehel. Darren.
It's quite a serious belt he's taken. He is getting stitches, and the Tipperary sideline here, not quite sure whether he's going to be able to come back out.
OK, Darren, thanks a lot. I just missed the start of that. I presume it was Hugh Coughlin you were talking about. Peter Atchison for Tipperary. They've Brian Fox on at the moment. Tipperary medical staff working hard on Hugh Coughlin. That's George Hannigan. Hannigan still with it, going for the point. Hannigan and getting it. Well, persistence paid off. The teams were level for the second time in this match, but Tipperary respond and they go back in front.
Yeah, that's great persistence again by George Hannigan that time. Again, seems to be running into all kinds of trouble. Loads of defenders around him, but again, swings a foot at it and gets a very good score. But just going back to Kerry at the moment, they're for the most part using the closed fist hand pass. There are very, very few of them using the open hand one, so they seem to be kind of carrying on for the way they were in the National League.
Well, that was the way it was up until Friday night, Saturday morning. With this other qualification brought in. Declan O'Sullivan. Two Tipperary men around him. Sean Carey out working around midfield. 13 on his back. That's moved forward for descent. Kieran Donaghy again staying in close to Paul Fitzgerald. George Hannigan has been spoken to by the referee. O'Sullivan for Kerry. One target there, and it's Kieran Donaghy, and that was calm goalkeeping from Paul Fitzgerald. Had his angles covered. Missed so much of last year's championship because of injury. Going really well in training. His nickname is Cracker. That was Kerry's first wide. The game restarted, as you see, from the 13-metre line. Brilliant distance again from Paul Fitzgerald, the sun in the eyes of the players. Sean Kerry of Moyle Rovers. Barry Grogan is the furthest forward. Philip Austin, the Tipperary goal scorer, goes with the foot pass, and Grogan just drifting away from O'Shea. That's hanging up there. Well taken by Brendan Keeley. That is an area of his game that there has been some concern about. At times can be vulnerable under the high ball, but the sun in his eyes, he's not wearing a cap, and it's good goalkeeping from Keeley. No pressure on him, though, you have to say. Mark O'Shea for Kerry. To Tomas. Paul Galvin. Donegal Walsh. Chris Aylward with him, and Aylward fouling Donegal Walsh. Brian Sheehan makes his move out in front of Niall Curran. Sheehan steadies down, they're just not tight enough on him. Poor effort in the end from Brian Sheehan. Wide number 2. Well, have a look at that. Kerry dominant in terms of possession. Most important stat of all is the one in the top left-hand corner of your screen, which has Tipperary leading. But for how long? As Killian Young raids forward again. George Hannigan went with it. And this is Brian Sheehan territory.
Yeah, I think a lot of the problem actually for Tipperary is coming from the kickouts. Scanlon and Quirk are winning quite a lot of ball, and at centre half back as well, Mike McCarthy has won a couple of kickouts. So that particular middle area of the field is becoming a little bit of a, it's a difficult area for Tipperary at the moment to get any control in.
Sheehan drawing it in. Nice free. Level for the third time in the 20th minute. Well, Hugh Coughlin has come back on. So well done to the Tipperary medical staff. Brian Fox gone back off. Paul Fitzgerald drilling it straight down the middle. Quirk can't get to it. Hugh Coughlin straight back into the action. Sean Kerry moves away from him. They go back to go forward. Kieran McGrath putting some air on that. Philip Austin in underneath, and O'Sullivan did well to take it away from him, but pressure still on Kerry. Grogan forced away from goal. Kerry pushing up on the man in possession quickly, but not Chris Aylward, the extra man trying to draw it in. But from the moment it left his boot, he knew it wasn't going to work. Second wide. Brendan Keeley beaten once already in this match. The goal in the 7th minute from Philip Austin. Not an awful lot he could do about it, although he was a few yards off his line, Keeley. It's a great goal. Keeley kicking into the wind. Hugh Coughlin, important that he remains on for Tipperary to try and compete under those high balls, and they've had trouble with Scanlon and Quirk. Pretty dominant around the centre up to now. Declan O'Sullivan, foul. few other things happened to him as well, but right on the Tipperary 45-metre line.
Yeah, but one of the things that's very impressive about Kerry when they get the ball into that, into the Tipperary half of the field, is the change of the direction that they have with the foot pass. That time that was a great ball across the field from Donegal Walsh to Declan O'Sullivan that took the Tipperary defender out of the play. And again, it's just that cuteness, that guile that they have that is the difference between the teams at the moment.
Sheehan, more effort into that. It hangs up. Donaghy in after it, but he's tall, but he ain't that tall. Wide number 3 for the All-Ireland champions. Important for Tipperary to get to half-time in this sort of score territory. Level at the moment. Coughlin goes after that. Quirk, such a huge figure. He was the impact sub in last year's championship, but in from the start today with Darragh O'Shea not involved. Declan O'Sullivan takes Robbie Costigan with him. Kerry ball.
Yeah, I think Robbie Costigan could be in a little bit of bother here. He has fouled Declan O'Sullivan out on 2 or 3 occasions, so I think the referee's patience is running out at this stage and he may incur a yellow card.
Well, it's bad news for Robbie Costigan the way Declan O'Sullivan has started this match for Kerry. Well, it all seems very relaxed, but there's a yellow card coming at the end of it all for Robbie Costigan. Second spell as the Tipperary captain. Was captain before John Evans took over the team. Brian Sheehan, now Tomás O'Shea. Just chipping that in towards Donaghy. Oh, fantastic save, but the danger's still not clear, but it is now because Donaghy's put that wide. Well, credit to Paul Fitzgerald, the Tipperary goalkeeper. Tomás O'Shea had only one thought in his mind, that was to find Starr.
Well, I thought he was planked in the small square actually before the ball came in and should have been a free out. He'd be embarrassed when he sees the effort when he eventually had his shot at goals. Like it's well wide, but good pressure from the Tipperary defence though.
Good spot, Martin. Great take from Tommy Griffin. Niall Quirk. Colin Cooper. Costigan picking him up now. Cooper combining with Declan O'Sullivan. Kieran Donaghy. Donaghy trying to barge his way past Kieran MacDonald. Seamus Scanlon. Declan O'Sullivan. Tipperary pushing them back. Brian Sheehan. There's players available for possession all the time. Colin Cooper having to work really hard for that. Peter Atchison just standing off him. Mike McCarthy and Paul Galvin, Tipperary player down injured. Kieran McGrath is struggling. That sails over the head of Kieran Donaghy. And Tipperary counter. Quirk almost rugby tackle. Advantage been played by the referee. He's got his left arm extended to signal the advantage. They go longer with that Tipperary, but it doesn't work from their point of view. Tomás O'Shea of Kerry. Crowd starting to get more and more involved. They haven't had a score in the match for close to 5 minutes. Paul Galvin. Tomás O'Shea. Determination. Probably his middle name. Declan O'Sullivan. Kieran Donaghy out in front again, and a good distance out in front of his marker, Kieran MacDonald. Now Brian Sheehan hanging that up there. Donegal Walsh in after it. The goalkeeper struggling a little, but well played. Chris Aylward just dropped back behind Paul Fitzgerald to cover the danger. There was some danger, but it's gone now. Peter Atchison surrounded and pressured into the mistake. Declan O'Sullivan. Cooper. Kieran Donaghy now drifting over to the other side. Tipperary back's been worked very hard. Are they up to it? Brian Sheehan. Kieran Donaghy bursting through. Donaghy goes with the fist, but he's put that wide. Half-time from the Leinster Football Championship. Wicklow leading Carlow by a goal.
Yeah, one of the things about Tipperary at the moment, they're playing with a very strong wind, but they're drawing everybody back behind the ball, and Tommy Griffin is not coming out the field. So in other words, when the ball goes in long from Tipperary, Kerry have an extra defender back there.
Quirk and Hannigan are having a real ding-dong battle. Mike McCarthy of Kerry. Declan O'Sullivan. Two Tipperary men go towards him. Closest was Philip Austin. Tipperary, plenty of pace there, fit as hell, and really up for this very energetic Tipperary. They were relegated from Division 2 of the National Football League, somewhat unlucky to be relegated. Philip Austin, that's well played by Mark O'Shea. He was shoulder to shoulder with Barry Grogan, and when he needed to, he just nudged in front. Tipperary guys not marking in that sort of fashion down at the other end. Tom O'Sullivan. Donegal Walsh. Cooper off in chase of possession. Walsh doesn't need him. He's got Tomas O'Shea. Declan O'Sullivan. Movement of the Kerry forward, something to behold there, to a man out in front of the Tipperary defenders, just not able to cope with it. Galvin. Here we go again. Colin Cooper. How many passes in this move? I've lost count. And Cooper, with the effort, comes off the post, taken by Niall Curran, and Curran fouled on the way out. They got away with that, Tipperary. George Hannigan. Hugh Coughlin screaming for it ahead of the giant midfielder. Here's his buddy Kevin Mulryan. Now Sean Carey is free. Tipperary haven't scored in 12 minutes, and there's another illegal hand pass. Brian Mulvihill over talking to the referee, but he's not going to change his mind. It is going to take a few weeks for this to all settle down. Declan O'Sullivan just dropping the shoulder. Here's Brian Sheehan. Scanlon is up there with him. Kieran Donaghy yards away from Kieran MacDonald. Donaghy trying to get a run on him. And well played, MacDonald. Donaghy was a little sloppy. That was picked up off the ground by Seamus Scanlon.
Yeah, great defending that time again from MacDonald. He's having a right good tussle with Donaghy, and it's about 50-50 each, although Donaghy has got at the end of one or two very good balls.
Kieran McGrath for Barry Grogan. And Grogan's got a few yards on Mark O'Shea. Philip Austin again bursting through. Austin, the Tipperary goal scorer, has to turn back. O'Sullivan there with him. Shout for a penalty. Referee didn't see it that way. And that's gone over the bar, and Tipperary go in front. Brian Mulvihill, they go back in front.
Yeah, again, just watch the persistence this time again. I think it's a Philip Austin again. Okay, good defending by Tom O'Sullivan again. Gets the ball out that time to Brian Mulvihill. Good score for Tipperary. Again, they're not having very many attacks, but whatever they're having, they're making a good use of them.
I think that's Barry Grogan who is down. It is the Tipperary full forward. And that little spell between the 12th and the 15th minute, when Kerry got 3 points in a row, you felt that they were going to push on. Since then, Tipperary have outscored them by 2 points to 1.
Yeah, actually, the scoring has dried up in the last 15 minutes or so. I think it's 15 minutes actually since Tipperary last scored. But again, Kerry have had so much possession, and again, their forward movement is wonderful. Declan O'Sullivan hugely impressed with. Donegal Walsh is running a marathon out there, but Tipperary are finding it very difficult to stay with their men. Keir MacDonald doing well at full back, I think, on Donaghy. In the corner, though, I think Colin Cooper is going to wreak havoc before the afternoon is out.
Barry Grogan's okay. John Evans in the lead up to this match, particularly some quotes in the papers yesterday. There's Mike McCarthy, who's receiving some treatment, but John Evans doing his very best to try and take the pressure off his players. There were a lot of people in this part of the country very excited about Kerry coming here. First day out in the championship, but well, you can have no bigger team in your backyard than Kerry, who've never lost here in Thurles. But John Evans talking about the qualifiers and the big gap his players would have to wait, the gap in time, that is. 26th of June is the first round of the qualifiers. That's too high for Donaghy. They've done that a few times. He's almost too quick for them, Kieran Donaghy, for his teammates on occasion. This is Kieran MacDonald. Kevin Mulryan. Tipperary leading by a point. Kerry will have the wind to come in the second half. George Hannigan. Hugh Coughlin up there. There was holding by Mike McCarthy, clearly. Tipperary need a score off this attack as we approach half-time. Kieran McGrath. Here's Philip Austin. And Austin, well, he's a right-footed player. He had a swipe at it with the left peg.
Yeah, it's a shame. Again, he broke off his defender beautifully that time, and again, just instinctively turned onto his left and shot wide. It would have been a great score for Tipperary to get coming into half-time, because again, they have been quite economical with most of their attacks. They've got quite a good, what is the tally so far of a goal and 4 points? It's a reasonable return considering they have been wiped in many respects in terms of possession.
Concerned faces.
I wouldn't think so. I think he realises, okay, they're certainly in a game, but the second half there is quite a considerable wind out there, and I feel that will, obviously is to Kerry's advantage in the second half, and I feel they will really make use of it.
For the standards they've set as well, Martin, he will be a little concerned, I would suggest, at the possession that they've wasted in front of the Tipperary goal. Mike McCarthy in the wars. He had treatment a couple of minutes ago. Will he need some more? Yeah,
he's having some game at the moment, actually. By my reckoning, he's won 5 kickouts so far, both his own and Tipperary ones, and that's a fair return, actually, from a guy playing at centre half back and who hasn't been playing through the National League.
It's the way to go for him. Miss the league campaign and come back and play a blinder for your county. First day out in the championship. Brilliant take from Declan O'Sullivan. He was surrounded there, but eyes only for the ball, and a free in, and Kerry should level it up. Apologies, it was Brian Sheehan, excuse me. George Hannigan been spoken to by the referee. He's from Shannon Rovers. They've already had Robbie Costigan cautioned. A yellow for Costigan, and there's a yellow on the way for George Hannigan.
Yeah, a little bit harsh. I think he had words with the referee earlier on, a little bit of lip perhaps, and maybe, he has obviously drawn the referee's ire, and I think a little bit unlucky to go into the book though.
Sheehan won this free and he converts it. Fourth time level, and we're heading into added time at the end of the first half. Just a minute of that. Tipperary's Kevin Mulryan hit the deck there. The 6 of one, half a dozen of the other with Micheál Quirk. The ball breaks away from Mark O'Shea. Barry Grogan there with him. Brendan Keeling. Tomas O'Shea, that familiar solo. Seamus Scanlon. Killian Young. Thomas Sullivan. Micheál Quirk. Scanlon. Mike McCarthy surging forward again for the umpteenth time today. Colin Cooper lets it off quickly to Galvin, who's been quiet enough over the last 15 minutes. Donaghy out in front of Kieran MacDonald once more. Colin Cooper spots a gap. Cooper for Kerry, into Galvin, and Kerry lead going into half-time.
Lovely bit of combined play that time. Again, Dunhee got the ball away despite huge pressure, and again a wonderful offload, I think, from Cooper it was to Galvin. The second time Galvin has just got up at the right time to take the final pass, and again, you know, get full use out of the movement. Great score.
8 points to 1-4 in the dying seconds of the first half. And there is the whistle for half-time. Kerry leading by a point. The key moment for Tipperary, the goal from centre forward Philip Austin, a cracking goal in the 7th minute. Kerry composed themselves 3 points in a row, put them in front in the 15th minute, but the scores for both teams have dried up. But Kerry in the last 20 minutes of the first half have outscored Tipperary by 3-2. At the break, Kerry lead Tipperary by 8 points to 1-4, Michael.
Darren Maloney, thank you very much indeed for the moment. Pat Spillane, a point ahead at half-time, Kerry, but just about.
Yeah, the first 10 or 15 minutes was very enjoyable football, lots of good scores from play. Second quarter was quite poor. Tipperary are operating at maximum capacity. They're a point down, they're well organised, they're competitive and got a fantastic goal. Kerry, second gear. You know, their Kerry forwards have the beating of the Tipperary defenders all the time, and I think it's only a matter of Kerry moving up one more gear to ease comfortably through.
So you think they're just about doing enough?
You know, it's an attitude of when you go into a game that you're expecting to win, and there's that sort of attitude amongst the Kerry players. They know they're better than them. They know they're probably going to win, but they want to do sort of winning in second gear, and I just feel that they need to move up a little gear or two to put away Tipperary, because Tipperary, like I said, are competitive, they're well organised, they're well coached, and they're not a pushover.
All right, we're going to take a break here on the Sunday game. Back with further analysis on that first half straight after that. Now, just a reminder to you that apart from the return of our live coverage today of the Sunday game, the evening edition also returns to your screens. Tonight, Des Cahill and guests will bring you a full review of all of today's big championship games, the man of the match selections from our 2 live games, and also Des will be joined by his special guest for the night, that's former Dublin star Kieran Whelan. All that coming your way at 9:30. Now, also coming your way a little bit later on here on this programme, a chance for you to win a trip to this year's All-Ireland football final, all expenses paid, and we'll have the details for you in a few minutes' time. However, at half-time in Thurles, it's Kerry leading Tipperary by 8 points to 1-4. Colin Morg, Pat Spillane thinks Kerry are just about doing enough, but, you know, with only a point in it, a score or two, a goal for Tip could change everything.
Yes, and Tipperary, you know, for their shortcomings, have set out to play in a certain way. But I still have enjoyed the game, and I've enjoyed what Tipperary have done, because they have been quite adventurous when they have got possession of the ball. And that brilliant goal that they got was signified that type of approach to it. Yet Kerry, I thought, were playing very well for the first 15 minutes. They moved the ball sharply, like the team. They looked like a team who are prepared for championship football. But Tipperary are making life very, very difficult for them. But as Pat says, you would expect Kerry to pull away in the second half.
And by the way, a crowd of just under 5,000 at Semple Stadium this afternoon for that game. Certainly there was a big cheer from whatever Tipperary supporters are there today. I presume most of them are Tipperary supporters for that goal that they got.
Yeah, and this came about after a dodgy decision against the Brian Sheehan hand pass. But if there's a weakness in the Kerry team this year, I think it's in the centre of their defence, not in their forward line. And we see there when Philip Austin gets the ball, goes straight, and a brilliant goal. It'll be in contention for one of the goals of the year. Thomas Sullivan, though, you would think should have been diving on his foot to try and make the block.
The speed and the angle of the run made it very difficult. When you break through, it's like a man breaking through in rugby. The ball comes to you at the last second, and now you're through. He took it beautifully.
He did. He took it very well. There's no question.
Sometimes the goal is just too good, you know.
Yeah. But, Joe, we were talking the first match, the Derry Armagh match, about blanket defences and so on. Now, you've been looking at something similar from Tipperary's point of view, but in a different kind of way, I suppose.
Well, it's virtually universal now. I mean, Tipperary have set out to swamp the whole central column and to force Kerry down the wings. And, you know, you see they've done it very effectively. It's slowed up Kerry's scoring rate very dramatically. Even though Kerry have a lot of possession, you can see how difficult it is. The difference between the two teams, and I disagree with Pat that Kerry are sort of strolling through this. The difference has been Donaghy, whose performance has been extraordinary again. You know, I think he's the most valuable footballer in the country, and it's underlined by the statistics. So if Kerry's 5 points from play, he scored 1 and provided 3 assists, 2 for Cooper and 1 for Galvin. So I mean, 4 of the points from play out of 5 have come directly from him. He almost scored a goal as well, and you know, he is the antidote to that sort of screen defensive system. I mean, very few teams have someone like that. And, I mean, he's a vital player for them. I mean, he must stay healthy this year, because without him, I don't think Kerry would win the All-Ireland.
Pat, Kerry did get the ball into the Tipperary net, courtesy of Kieran Donaghy making the pass, but then the pass was the problem, according to the referee.
There's no doubt about it. Look, I genuinely believe, I wrote when it happened that it wasn't a free. I think you'd see a striking action on the part of Kieran Donaghy, and I think it's the talking point of the 2 matches thus far, the interpretation of the hand-passing rule. In my opinion, that was, as the rule states, a clearly striking underhand action, and it wasn't a foul. But like, as far as I'm aware of, this rule was communicated to the managers of the teams on last Friday. I mean, that is a joke. So, and again, sorry, Joe, what you're happening here is you're getting a la carte interpretation. Sometimes it's being pulled up, sometimes it's not being pulled up. And I genuinely think he cost Kerry 2 goals. He cost Kerry a goal there, and in the lead up to Tipperary's goal, Brian Sheehan was adjudicated to have fouled the ball when there was a clear striking action.
It wasn't even a hand pass. He had his fist closed. He knocked it with his fist, so in no way could it be a foul. But again, I say this again, the game is being spoiled. I mean, throughout the first match, you know, people were groaning, and Jerry Canning was saying, oh, people are groaning in frustration by this over-fussy refereeing. I mean, there's no better hands in the game than Kieran Donaghy's. I've never seen him throwing a ball in his life. He used his fist. The referee was right beside him. I'll tell you what they seem to be doing. They seem to be trying to chalk up a quota of hand passes that'll go down in the wee boxes, you know, and they seem to be interpreting anything that's short. I mean, if I pass the ball back to Colin from here, almost invariably the whistle's been blown for a free. It's not on the basis of whether there's a strike. It's on the basis of how close you are to the man.
Well, it's a silly interpretation, because you can strike the ball at that distance clearly. You don't have to have your hand back here.
OK, we have another break coming up here on the Sunday game. Now, when we come back, our competition for a trip to this year's All-Ireland football final. So get ready to take down some details. OK, the second half of Tipperary and Kerry coming up shortly now. But before that, would you like to be heading to this year's All-Ireland football final? Well, this is how you can. To mark the start of this year's Football Championship, RTE Sport and Ulster Bank, official sponsors of the Football Championship, have come together to offer you the chance to win a VIP weekend in Dublin and attend this year's All-Ireland football final on September the 19th. Of course, you might even be cheering on your own county. Now, this prize for 2 includes premium level match tickets to the final, a 2-night stay in a Dublin city centre hotel, and €2,000 of spending money. To enter, all you have to do is to correctly answer the following question. Who are the current All-Ireland senior football champions? Is it Dublin, Kerry or Mayo? To enter, you can call 1515 717174 with your selection, or you can text football followed by your answer and contact details to 57111. The number to call from Northern Ireland, by the way, is 0901 293 0550. And for more details and terms and conditions, you can go to RTE Airtel page 193. Now, those lines remain open until 6 p.m. on Sunday, May the 30th. And you must be 18 years or over to enter, and we will announce the winner on that evening's edition of the Sunday game. OK, good luck with that. Just to remind you that at half-time in Semple Stadium between Kerry and Tipperary, Kerry leading by the single point, 8 points to Tipperary's 1-4. And Colin Moore, I suppose we would expect, really, Kerry to push on from here.
Well, you would, but I hope Tipperary score 6 goals in the second half and beat Kerry, and Kerry lose the first round of the qualifier, and every player in the country then would get a pep in their step going to training, and maybe Tyrone the same thing to happen. Open up the All-Ireland, but I think it's more likely Kerry get a couple of goals and win by 6 or 7.
That'll give Pat the breathing space, you know, the experiment that he's carrying out where he's going to take a rugby team to win the All-Ireland. That'll give him the breathing space to work on that with, you know, in a bit more detail.
But you know, Michael, there was a fella, I was reading during the week, there was a 63-year-old man in India who didn't brush his teeth or have a shower in 35 years because he believed that ritual would provide him with a baby son. Now, in Gaelic football, there's managers at club and county level,
nobody pull him aside.
The length and breadth of the country who believe that the ritual of parking a load of fellas back behind the ball will bring them to a title. It doesn't. It makes them very, very competitive. It makes them very, very hard to beat. But to get over the finishing line, you've got to move the ball up fast. But more particularly, you have to have 3 or 4 guys who can actually, skillful forwards, who can score.
But here,
I would say, by the way, Pat, not brushing your teeth for 35 years would be a very good guarantee of not conceding anything. But anyway,
we just buy into false gods at times.
Are you one of the foremost purveyors of the blanket defence? I mean, in the All-Ireland final last year.
We've tweaked it, Joe.
I was wondering, Pat, were you that man and that you just added on a few years so we wouldn't understand or
well, I'm just saying that if I got 25 rugby players from I got 25 rugby players from the Munster Academy. Within 2 weeks of training, I'd make them competitive against any of the top clubs.
Here, well, hold on a minute, Pat.
One interesting thing about today's game, Colin O'Rourke, is the fact that Tipperary have brought Kerry to Thurles, which is a very big and a very wide pitch, obviously, as opposed to, say, some place like Ardfinnan. Yeah. So obviously they had a plan in that approach.
Yeah, well, John Evans goes about things the right way, and he's a bit of confidence in his players. You know, he's more or less saying, we can't hide away forever. Let's come out and play, and we'll get better. Yeah. And he has improved the team. Like, Pat's point is okay, you know, teams do that, but a team must play with the resources that they have. And if your resources are limited, you make the best use of them. You know, it's Tipperary, not Kerry. So, like, he is making very, very good use of the resources that he has, and he should be applauded for that.
OK, lads, you can see the big screen there, Kieran Donaghy just gone through, both teams out in the field. Time for us to hand back to Thurles then, to rejoin Darren Maloney and Martin Carney.
Thanks, Michael. Welcome back to Semple Stadium. You mentioned about Tipperary playing the game here in Thurles. They had played at some of the smaller venues you mentioned when they were in Division 4, but when they were promoted out of that division, they decided to play the majority of their matches, the bigger ones certainly here. The big open spaces should suit Kerry more, but only leading by a point in the early stages of the second half. Conventional wisdom would have you expect that Kerry will push on from here. Some of the movement from the forwards during the first half has been exceptional, and there's more here. Brian Sheehan, second time they've hit the post. It's come back to Sheehan though for Kerry. Donaghy there with him, and that's a free out.
Yeah, it looked all too easy that time again. Brian Sheehan had loads of time to put that over the bar, just effortlessly hit the ball. Came back at the post. He played for that penalty. Again, the 2 defenders came in. Maybe George Hannigan wrapped him up a little bit, but the referee was having none of it. So free out for touching the ball on the ground.
And the referee, as you saw there, in the perfect position to make his decision and make the call and give the free to Tipperary. It's Kieran McGrath. Kevin Mulryan, experienced player for Tipperary, been around the scene a while. Foul on Kieran McGrath. Barry Grogan out in front of O'Shea. Now it's Sean Carey. Carey for Tip, trying to draw it in his left boot. He hasn't succeeded though. First wide of the second half. 4 now in total for Tip.
Yeah, I think they've made 1 or 2 changes actually. And Hugh Coughlin has gone into centre half forward. I think Philip Austin has gone into full forward. And what I imagine they're going to do is maybe draw as many men behind the ball as possible and hope to get the ball up to maybe Philip Austin in the full forward position, who's been now marked by Thomas Sullivan.
And remember, just clarify who the yellow card is for. Maybe for Micheál Quirk.
I think it was Quirk, yeah.
We'll confirm that for you. That's given away, a mistake in the Kerry defence. Here's Barry Grogan for Tipperary, and Grogan, no pressure on him at all, puts it over the bar. And Tipperary draw level again. 5th time now. What a mistake.
Yeah, good mistake again, but in fairness, Barry Grogan spotted the opportunity, very quick to latch onto the mistake, and again shoots a good point, again, which should boost their confidence at the start of the second half.
There's confirmation of the card for Micheál Quirk. Paul Galvin just slipped away from McCarthy. Tomás O'Shea. They've the wind helping them, so they'll try and let the ball go into the likes of Donaghy a little earlier, perhaps. Peter Aitchison of Tipperary. Hugh Coughlin drifting out to the wing again. Ahead of him, Chris Aylward. Now behind, here's Aylward. Kieran McGrath. No. Comfortable for...
In price, Seat.
Autoemoción.
You're talking everything he knows.
You never taught me anything about football.
Ulster Bank, sponsors of the GAA Football Championship.
OK, the second half of Tipperary and Kerry coming up shortly now. But before that, would you like to be heading to this year's All-Ireland football final? Well, this is how you can. To mark the start of this year's Football Championship, RTE Sport and Ulster Bank, official sponsors of the Football Championship, have come together to offer you the chance to win a VIP weekend in Dublin and attend this year's All-Ireland football final on September the 19th. Of course, you might even be cheering on your own county. Now, this prize for two includes premium level match tickets to the final, a two-night stay in a Dublin city centre hotel and €2,000 of spending money. To enter, all you have to do is to correctly answer the following question. Who are the current All-Ireland senior football champions? Is it Dublin, Kerry or Mayo? To enter, you can call 1515 717174 with your selection, or you can text football followed by your answer and contact details to 57111. The number to call from Northern Ireland, by the way, is 0901 293 0550. And for more details and terms and conditions, you can go to RTE Airtel page 193. Now, those lines remain open until 6 p.m. on Sunday, May the 30th. You must be 18 years or over to enter, and we will announce the winner on that evening's edition of the Sunday game. OK, good luck with that. Just to remind you that at half-time in Semple Stadium between Kerry and Tipperary, Kerry leading by the single point, 8 points to Tipperary's 1-4. And Colin Moore, I suppose we would expect, really, Kerry to push on from here.
Well, you would, but I hope Tipperary score 6 goals in the second half and beat Kerry, and Kerry lose the first round of the qualifier, and every player in the country then would get a pep in their step going to training, and maybe Tyrone the same thing to happen. Open up the All-Ireland, but I think it's more likely Kerry get a couple of goals and win by 6 or 7.
That'll give Pat the breathing space, you know, the experiment that he's carrying out where he's going to take a rugby team to win the All-Ireland. That'll give him the breathing space to work on that with, you know, in a bit more detail.
But you know, Michael, there was a fella, I was reading during the week, there was a 63-year-old man in India who didn't brush his teeth or have a shower in 35 years because he believed that ritual would provide him with a baby son. Now, in Gaelic football, there's managers at club and county level,
nobody pull him aside.
The length and breadth of the country who believe that the ritual of parking a load of fellas back behind the ball will bring them to a title. It doesn't. It makes them very, very competitive. It makes them very, very hard to beat. But to get over the finishing line, you've got to move the ball up fast. But more particularly, you have to have 3 or 4 guys who can actually, skillful forwards, who can score.
But I would say, by the way, Pat, not brushing your teeth for 35 years would be a very good guarantee of not conceiving anything. But anyway,
we just buy into false gods at times.
Are you one of the foremost purveyors of the blanket defence? I mean, in the All-Ireland final last year.
We've tweaked it, Joe.
I was wondering, Pat, were you that man and that you just added on a few years so we wouldn't understand or
Well, I'm just saying that if I got 25 rugby players from if I got 25 rugby players from the Munster Academy, within 2 weeks of training, I'd make them competitive against any of the top clubs.
Here, well, hold on a minute, Pat.
One interesting thing about today's game, Colin O'Rourke, is the fact that Tipperary have brought Kerry to Thurles, which is a very big and a very wide pitch, obviously, as opposed to, say, some place like Ardfinnan. Yeah. So obviously they had a plan in that approach.
Yeah, well, John Evans goes about things the right way, and he's a bit of confidence in his players. You know, he's more or less saying, we can't hide away forever. Let's come out and play, and we'll get better. Yeah. And he has improved the team. Like, Pat's point is okay, you know, teams do that, but a team must play with the resources that they have. And if your resources are limited, you make the best use of them. You know, it's Tipperary, not Kerry. So, like, he is making very, very good use of the resources that he has, and he should be applauded for that.
OK, lads, you can see the big screen there, Kieran Donaghy just gone through, both teams out in the field. Time for us to hand back to Thurles then, to rejoin Darren Maloney and Martin Carney.
Thanks, Michael. Welcome back to Semple Stadium. You mentioned about Tipperary playing the game here in Thurles. They had played at some of the smaller venues you mentioned when they were in Division 4, but when they were promoted out of that division, they decided to play the majority of their matches, the bigger ones certainly here. The big open spaces should suit Kerry more, but only leading by a point in the early stages of the second half. Conventional wisdom would have you expect that Kerry will push on from here. Some of the movement from the forwards during the first half has been exceptional, and there's more here. Brian Sheehan, second time they've hit the post. It's come back to Sheehan though for Kerry. Donaghy there with him, and that's a free out.
Yeah, it looked all too easy that time again. Brian Sheehan had loads of time to put that over the bar, just effortlessly hit the ball. Came back at the post. He played for that penalty. Again, the two defenders came in. Maybe George Hannigan wrapped him up a little bit, but the referee was having none of it. So free out for touching the ball on the ground.
And the referee, as you saw there, in the perfect position to make his decision and make the call and give the free to Tipperary. It's Kieran McGrath. Kevin Mulryan, experienced player for Tipperary, been around the scene a while. Foul on Kieran McGrath. Barry Grogan out in front of O'Shea. Now it's Sean Kerry. Kerry for Tip, trying to draw it in his left boot. He hasn't succeeded though. First wide of the second half. 4 now in total for Tip.
Yeah, I think they've made one or two changes actually. And Hugh Coughlin has gone into centre half forward. I think Philip Austin has gone into full forward. And what I imagine they're going to do is maybe draw as many men behind the ball as possible and hope to get the ball up to maybe Philip Austin in the full forward position, who's been now marked by Thomas Sullivan.
And remember, just clarify who the yellow card is for. Maybe for Micheál Quirk.
I think it was Quirk, yeah.
We'll confirm that for you. That's given away a mistake in the Kerry defence. Here's Barry Grogan for Tipperary, and Grogan, no pressure on him at all, puts it over the bar. And Tipperary draw level again. 5th time now. What a mistake.
Yeah, good mistake again, but in fairness, Barry Grogan spotted the opportunity, very quick to latch onto the mistake, and again shoots a good point, again, which should boost their confidence at the start of the second half.
There's confirmation of the card for Micheál Quirk. Paul Galvin just slipped away from McCarthy. Tomás O'Shea. They've the wind helping them, so they'll try and let the ball go into the likes of Donaghy a little earlier, perhaps. Peter Aitchison of Tipperary. Hugh Coughlin drifting out to the wing again. Ahead of him, Chris Aylward. Now behind, here's Aylward. Kieran McGrath. No. Comfortable for Brendan Keeley. Tomás O'Shea. Tommy Griffin. Possession, possession, possession. Mike McCarthy. Donncha Walsh. Cooper just stepped back. Now he moves forward and gains a yard or two in a split second from Paddy Codd. Cooper. Kieran Donaghy. Cooper goes again. Walsh there. Also Brian Sheehan. Cooper. That's a super score. Worth the admission alone. That was fantastic.
Absolutely beautiful. Just watching that as it has been conceived, like the little hops, the little shimmies. Just delightful to watch. The brisk movement from Cooper once again, but again taking the ball off Donaghy. They feed off each other so well, but again the accuracy from a difficult situation is no bother to Cooper.
Good distance on that from Fitzgerald into the teeth of a strong breeze. Quirk using all his basketball experience. And Brian Sheehan, there was a lapse in concentration in the Tipperary defence. Niall Curran not the quickest, and Sheehan through. 2 men on the line, saved by Fitzgerald. There was cover behind as well, but the danger still not got away. O'Sullivan for Kerry, and it's gone over. They did so well, Paul Fitzgerald particularly, with a fine save. Too many Kerry men about.
Yeah, I think it's Sheehan this time going through a very good save by Paul Fitzgerald. Again, the ball just toe poked away, but in the right place. Declan Sullivan takes the point in off the post. Again, good move again from Kerry. Maybe in the first case, I think Sheehan would have been better off to go and take his point.
4 years since these two counties met in the championship. Kerry won on that occasion by 17 points to 1-5. Goal scorer today, Philip Austin, running again. Goal chance, Grogan goes for the point and gets it. Was there more in that for Tipperary? They'll be thrilled with the point.
Definitely was, but again it came down to a wonderful piece of fielding in the first place by Hugh Coughlin. Lovely incisive movement through that time. Okay, maybe there was pressure on the kicker, but I think Grogan would have been, you know, I would love to have seen him have a go for a goal that time.
Attendance here today, 4,965. Kerry a lapse again. But the favour returned and possession returned to Kerry. Tomas O'Shea. Donncha Walsh. Showed very well for the ball today, Donncha Walsh. Foul by Chris Aylward.
Yeah, he's a perfect foil for the more skillful players inside. He's wonderful, all the time available for a pass. And again, he's so unselfish in his distribution.
Well, another hand pass issue coming up. Play continues. Seamus Scanlon. Mike McCarthy, they're all fine. In hand pass terms anyway. Killian Young using the breeze in towards Donaghy. Can't hold on to it, but Donncha Walsh working off him. It's a simple game when it's played that way. Into the big man up front. Couldn't hold on to it, but runners off Kieran Donaghy, and that works so well for Kerry.
Again, just watch Donaghy getting on the end of that one again, and Walsh making up a huge amount of ground that time. Again, fires over a good score. But as the lads in the studio said earlier, a lot of the scores coming from Donaghy, and even though Kieran MacDonald is playing well on him, he's giving away too many inches.
Second half of the month of May, and the Kerry, you expect Tipperary to be flying fit, and they are. Kerry, particularly the forwards, look exceptionally fit at what for them is an early time of the year. Tomas O'Shea. Well played. Kieran MacDonald put his body on the line. Doesn't pay off for Tipperary though. Kerry with Colm Cooper. Takes out Paul Galvin. Galvin puts the distance on it. Just drifts it in. Harmlessly wide though.
Yeah, it was a beautiful pass actually that time from Galvin. I think just Brian Sheehan had gone in the wrong direction, anticipating it going slightly to the other side, and he'd taken the right one that time. There was a score on.
Tipperary, sloppy, careless stuff. Declan O'Sullivan fouled free in. Brian Sheehan should knock this over pretty easily.
Yeah, a little bit messy that time from the Tipperary defence. Again, poor kick out down the middle. The worst place you could put a kick out. Again, good pressure from Brian Sheehan to bring about the error. And again, the foul now has led to an easy enough opportunity for Sheehan to convert.
And a third yellow card for Tipperary men. That time Niall Curran booked. He follows Robbie Costigan and George Hannigan into the referee's notebook. Brian Mulvihill gone off for Tipperary, and Brian Fox, who came on earlier while Hugh Coughlin was off the field of play, is on now. Scores those in his sleep, Brian Sheehan. But here you are in the first nearly 9 minutes of the second half. Kerry have outscored Tipperary by 4 points to 2, and Kerry are bringing Padraig Reedy in. Tom O'Sullivan, the man to go off. That's Brian Fox. There's Padraig Reedy.
Yeah, again, you have a very experienced player in Padraig Reedy, who had 2 or 3 All-Ireland medals to his name, coming in for Tom O'Sullivan.
Peter Atchison of Tip. Kieran McGrath there with him. Tipperary player's been forced into errors, and that was thrown.
Yeah, I think that was clear-cut enough.
That was an easy one for the referee, but when you're having to look at replays to clarify and find out exactly whether it was legal or illegal, it is difficult for the referees, particularly, say, a team like Kerry, who use it a lot and use it at pace. So a 3-point lead opened up by Kerry. How will Tipperary respond? Grogan in after it. Mike McCarthy, the calmest man in Semple Stadium. Donncha Walsh. Seamus Scanlon. Free to Kerry. Paul Galvin. Kieran McGrath fouling it. And is the referee going to get the book out again for the 4th time against a Tipperary player?
Yeah, it's so difficult for any defender marking a Kerry attacker, because the Kerry defenders move, or the Kerry attack move around so effectively and in such a coordinated way that, you know, Galvin is all the time showing for a ball. And I say at this stage, Kieran McGrath has run a half a marathon actually to try and track him.
There's the yellow, and he's going to need some treatment. Kieran McGrath, his thumb may have popped out. Paul Galvin. Donncha Walsh. Chris Aylward in front of him. Look at Mike McCarthy surging forward again. Walsh doesn't need him, or maybe didn't see him. Colin Cooper. Atchison's challenge at Cooper. Lost possession, but Kerry still have it with Tomás O'Shea. Big gap opens up. Waits for his moment. Pops the pass in to Mike McCarthy. McCarthy with the fist. Off the woodwork again. Oh, goal for Kerry. Brian Sheehan. We thought Kerry would push on. They are now. They lead by 6 in the blink of an eye. 12 minutes into the second half.
Yeah, just go through that again actually. Tomás O'Shea linked up with Mike McCarthy, I think. McCarthy's ball came off Donaghy, and then again, once again, not for the first time today, Sheehan in the right place to take the opportunity and fire a good goal. But the two guys very centrally involved in that were Tomás O'Shea and his halfback partner Mike McCarthy. Very, very creative play on both their parts.
Peter Atchison. This could drift away from Tipperary unless they can do something pretty quickly. Barry Grogan. Philip Austin. Oh, that's...
And pass again.
And pass again.
There's 2 teams out there,
I think it's a shame in many respects that they didn't leave the fist pass and fist pass exclusively for the remainder of the championship, because I thought most teams had got used to it by the conclusion of the National League this year, and to have had to have tweaked it again and meddled around with it again, I think it's caused more confusion than anything.
Well, the first match of the championship in New York, the Galway game a few weeks ago, was played under the old rules, and we've a new set of rules in today with those alterations that were voted in Congress. Tipperary haven't scored since at the 6th minute. Kerry have put over 1-2. Here we go.
Yeah, I think in that case he touched the ball. I think quite clearly he touched the ball on the ground, even though I know he was coming under a lot of pressure that time from Sean Carey, but maybe he feels he might have got a free out in the first place, but I think in fairness, free-in is deserved.
Sean Carey didn't fancy this. Philip Austin does. Austin sending that high, looking anxiously after it, but it drifts the wrong side of the upright.
Yeah, they need to take every opportunity like that when it presents itself. But just at the moment, you just get the feel that another goal will, finish the game off completely. You can't fault Tipperary from the point of view of effort, but they just lack the class that Kerry have and the accumulated experience over many, many years. Like when you think about it, Kerry have been in the last 7 All-Ireland finals. Tipperary, I don't think have won a first round of a Munster Championship since 2003.
That's right. 82 years since Tipperary have beaten Kerry in the championship. That's an interesting ball in. The bounce didn't favour Austin, who's stayed forward. Foul on Barry Grogan. Tip with the free in. Barry Grogan with the free. Tricky angle, suits the right-footed kicker though. Never make contact with it, it might come good for Tipperary. Brilliant save, fabulous save by Brendan Keeley. A good, strong, firm right hand. Prevented what looked like a certain goal. Mike McCarthy had to improvise and did it pretty well. They're surging forward, Kerry. Killian Young. Hugh Coughlin trying to get close to him but unable to do so. Brian Sheehan. Curran just in front of him. Forced the mistake from Brian Sheehan.
Yeah, good defending that time by Niall Curran against the right side of his man, forced the error.
Well, here's a score from the Leinster Championship. I heard a lot of people tipping Carlow. Look at that. Mick O'Dwyer's Wicklow, 3-11 to 9 points. That is a result. It's a full-time score from the Leinster Championship. Chris Aylward. They need scores. Grogan in there with Keeley, and Grogan with a goal for Tipperary. They're not gone yet. Barry Grogan. Well, there's Brendan Keeley. We mentioned that in the first half. It's an area of his game that some Kerry people are concerned about. He's vulnerable under the high ball, and he was exposed here by Barry Grogan.
Yes, a bread and butter ball into the square, and again Barry Grogan just moved in, flicked to the net again. Maybe, I'm not sure of this, but I think Keeley was in goals the day that they played Tyrone in the National League up in Omagh, and I think conceded a couple of goals, or a goal very similar to that during the game.
The referee having a word with Kevin Mulryan, so you're not missing anything while you watch Paul Galvin getting ready to take the free for Kerry. There's another card. Kevin Mulryan with the yellow, and he looks a bit puzzled. Both midfielders for Tipperary have now been booked. Paul Galvin's free. Declan O'Sullivan forced backwards. Tomas O'Shea, the bounce was awkward for the defenders. Donncha Walsh couldn't get to that. It was good play by Chris Aylward. Very brave, he had to be. Robbie Costigan. Tipperary have got another injection of belief after that Barry Grogan goal. Sheehan's goal put Kerry 6 points up indeed. Now there's only 3 between them. Kieran McGrath, Sean Carey, another goal for Tipperary. And what would that do to Kerry? Would they be able to respond again? They've been in second, at most third gear for a lot of the game, playing very well, efficiently. Mike McCarthy. Brian Sheehan. Kerry player Declan O'Sullivan down, receiving treatment at the moment. They're playing with 14 as Donncha Walsh drifts that in. Paul Fitzgerald out for a 45. Not taking any risks with that, the goalkeeper, and sensibly putting on the peaked cap.
Yeah, again, positive goalkeeping from Paul Fitzgerald. Again, confronted with a ball, high ball under, coming in with Donaghy. Safety first, get it out over the end line. Okay, at the expense of a 45. And again, just during that particular attack there, Declan Sullivan was down injured, being treated by the physiotherapist. Seems to be okay now. Having a word with the referee, maybe something about on that we didn't see. He seems annoyed about something.
Kerry are going to make a double change. Tipperary making one substitution. Brian Cohen is replacing Sean Carey, like for like. Brian Cohen, a forward. Remember a couple of years ago in a Division 4 final against Offaly, he scored 10 points. Darren O'Sullivan, one of the 2 men coming in for Kerry. The other is Anthony Marr. Going off, Micheál Quirk and Paul Galvin. Kerry with the point. Mr. Sheehan again, 113 to 2-6. So Kerry now make their substitutions. Last year's captain Darren O'Sullivan on for Paul Galvin. And Quirk has gone off.
Quite surprised, actually. Yeah, I'm very surprised at Galvin being taken off. He's worked very, very hard throughout the game. Got 2 good points early on. Has been foraging right up and down the field. Really looking forward to seeing Anthony Maher coming in for Quirk, though. To me, he's a one for the future, and a player that I thought it would by now have made a big impact with Kerry. So I'll be interested to see how he'll do over the last 15 minutes or so.
Peter Atchison of Tipperary. That point from Sheehan, Kerry's first score in 8 minutes since Brian Sheehan's goal in the 12th minute. Tip have a free in. Robbie Costigan heading back to the half-back line. Taking great care over this is Barry Grogan. His marker, Tommy Griffin, standing in front of him. You see him there. And he kicked a 45 during the first half, did Barry Grogan. This into the breeze, though. Puts everything into it. He's dragged it wide.
I think your point there, actually, he put everything into it. He forced the kick somewhat. I think if he was more relaxed, he might have scored that, because he is a lovely striker of a dead ball.
Well, forced to go long because the Tipperary forwards had closed off the options in close to Brendan Keeley. Hangs it up there. Marr got a hand on it. Killian Young. Tipperary have a goal. Oh, I think that's a Tipperary free.
Well, he's pulling his leg, I think. No, he's going to get a booking for it as well. Again, Maher went up and won that ball again on the break, broke it down to Killian Young, who lost it in possession. Then incurs an unnecessary yellow card.
Kevin Mulryan came onto that at pace. George Hannigan. Free man is Chris Aylward. It's Brian Cohen. Now back to Peter Atchison. Darren O'Sullivan buzzing around him. Chris Aylward. Peter Atchison. Taking their time over this, and it breaks down. George Hannigan couldn't get to that. Marr was close to him, and here come Kerry with Donncha Walsh. Tipperary man Kieran McGrath ends up on the deck. Walsh goes long. Colin Cooper came over his shoulder. Cooper going himself. Paddy Codd with him, and Cooper still going, showing fantastic persistence. Donncha Walsh, Seamus Scanlon, they want him to get forward more and do that. Score a point for Kerry, and that's just what he's done.
Yeah, but great persistence that time. In all fairness to Donncha Walsh, he was involved in that move twice. Again, give the final pass to Scanlon, who came up in support. But the crossfield ball in the first case from Walsh to Cooper was absolutely delightful. Cooper a little bit unlucky not to have made a little bit more of it.
Donncha Walsh has had a very fine game, like a lot of his forward buddies in the Kerry team. Paul Greedy, and now Anthony Marr. Seamus Scanlon. Tip man down injured. I think from this distance it looks like Philip Austin. Physio is on for treatment for Philip Austin. Marr for Kerry. Tomas O'Shea. And for Brian Sheehan, but 2 Tipperary men around him, and they combine to set Tipperary going forward again. Brian Fox. Hugh Coughlin, he's been in the wars a lot today.
Yeah, fouled that time actually by Kieran Donaghy. Donaghy will be a little bit disappointed with the serves he's got in the second half. Hasn't made the impact at all that we would have you know, expected from him, but the quality of the ball going through to him hasn't been, you know, just as good as he would have hoped for.
That's Adrian O'Connell, who is replacing Killian Young in the Kerry half-back line. Philip Austin, they may have to replace him. John Cagney is actually being prepared by John Evans, and Philip Austin looks very shaken. John Cagney in for Austin, 26 for 11. Austin, whatever happens today, will certainly remember his goal for a long time in the first half after 7 minutes of cracking strike. Kerry are gonna, well, they're emptying the bench. Fifth substitution coming up. Barry John Keane is gonna come in, we understand, for Declan O'Sullivan. Now the referee in having a word with a couple of players, Barry Grogan, one of them, and Tommy Griffin there. So yellow for both players. Tommy Griffin booked and Barry Grogan booked. Referee Coldrick has been very busy with the yellow card. Declan O'Sullivan off. Barry John Keane replacing him, 22 for 11. Now it's Hugh Coughlin for Tipperary. Third time in the match we've seen the ball come off the upright. Anthony Marr of Kerry. Eight minutes remaining plus added time. That was careless from Marr. Tipperary looked to exploit quickly, but Brendan Keeley read where that was going. It was a poor pass in the end. Mike McCarthy. 6th of June is the date for the Munster semi-final against Cork. Conor Coonahan and company, no doubt, here today watching on. Brian Sheehan, that hang time, absolutely amazing. And that was brilliant. A fabulous point from Brian Sheehan. He's put on a bit of a masterclass today from place balls. He's been flawless, and that was superb.
It's an absolute glorious score altogether. Again, just first time over the bar, but again, the crossfield pass that set that up was up the, you know, out of the top drawer. Just instinctively turned around, kicked it over the bar. One of the more unsung players in the team was having a fine game today.
That Grogan goal now been wiped out by Kerry after 3 points in a row. 2 from play and 1 from a place ball for Brian Sheehan. Got the Kerry goal as well. Tomas O'Shea. Now that's for Donaghy. Hangs up there, brilliant from Donaghy. Here they go. And the point, a lovely tidy score from Barry John Keane, the Kerry substitute. They're putting on a show now, heading towards the winning line.
Look at the kick in that time from the Moss O'Shea. Perfect kick in. Donaghy just feels it. First touch, delightful. Barry John Keane's support. Right angle run, and again, good finish.
Well taken by Kevin Mulryan. Mike McCarthy of Kerry. Tomas O'Shea, Barry John Keane screaming for it and getting it too. Robbie Costigan pulled out of position, and Barry John Keane can do whatever he wants with this. He scored one about a minute ago. Now he's got 2. Beautifully taken. Shooting practice for the Kerry substitute. 117 to 2-6. They led by a point at half-time. They've pushed on. And in some style. Peter Atchison suffering from cramp, it would appear. Well fielded Anthony Marr. Some of these guys putting in big performances to try and stake a claim for a place in the semi-final team. There's the long ball in again. That is magnificent. Sheehan, beautiful finish. Sheehan's been outstanding. Kieran Donaghy didn't quite catch it standing, but he plucked it out of the air. Amongst other things, this is one of the big man's key strengths. The ball launched in, great take. Fabulous finish.
Yeah, again, very similar to the last score. Again, wonderful ball in that time from Barry John Keane. Donaghy's handling just superb. In the right place, Sheehan slides the ball into the net. Again, he's had a fabulous game as well.
Tipperary bringing Brian Jones in for Chris Aylward in the half-back line. Last 5 minutes of this Munster quarter-final. Tipperary searching for consolation scores. Brian Fox looking to give them one, but he's put it wide. 7 in total, 4 of those in the second half.
Yeah, but in fairness to Tipperary, I mean, they have been playing out of the second division this year, got relegated from it, but they won an under-21 title, which was a huge progress. I think the first ever under-21 title. And John Evans is building a team at the moment, and you can see a lot of raw material out there that's a work in progress. And they shouldn't be discouraged by the performance today. There's a lot of positives to take from it.
The average age of the team, which started today for Tipperary, 23. Just backs up Martin's point. Brian Sheehan 2-6 today. Darren O'Sullivan of Kerry. Mark O'Shea. Their league was mixed with so many players. What is it, up to 11 of last year's panel not involved in 2010. Jack O'Connor and company took the opportunity to experiment a little bit. They won 3, lost 4, stayed in Division 1, which was a big priority, but they've hit the ground running in the championship. Tipperary gave it absolutely everything. We're at full tilt running up to half-time, but Kerry led by a point. Tip got it back to 3 midway through the second half, but they haven't scored since Grogan's goal in the 17th minute of the second half, and it's just been an exhibition of free-flowing football from Kerry, and this has worked a treat. The long ball in towards Donaghy, going for 3 super catches in a row. But credit to the defenders, they managed to frustrate him. Tip have a long wait now until the qualifiers. The first round starts 26th of June. That's going to be a problem to keep the intensity going.
Yeah, that's a very good point, Dara. Like 6 weeks' time, like playing their next game. A number of these players are third level students. They'll have emigrated by then, gone away for summer work and that. So John Evans will have a big job to keep the players enthused between now and then, and keep them at home, and keep them fit, and keep them sharp.
Keep them at home. Two minutes remaining. Referee throwing the ball in to restart the game.
Yeah, again, that's due to the fact that the sideline kick wasn't taken outside the boundary line.
Throw it in quickly. Well, you can understand the frustration of both players, Kevin Mulryan and Kieran Donaghy.
Yeah, Tommy Griffin has taken issue, I think, with the slap. That was
Andrew Morrissey, wearing number 17, is in for Kieran McGrath in the Tipperary half-back line.
Just can't see who's down there. Is it Adrian O'Connell, I think, that's down?
It is, yeah.
I think, well, Barry Grogan, he's had a yellow card already.
He's had a yellow already,
yeah,
he's gone.
Yeah, so he's gone.
Second yellow, and Tipperary finished the match with 14 men.
Yeah, that's a shame. I didn't actually see what happened there, but certainly Tommy Griffin took issue to whatever Barry Grogan did that time.
Well, here is what happened. Grogan going up there with Tommy Griffin, first of all.
Yeah, he caught him in the back of the head, but I didn't think there was anything malicious about it. He certainly caught him.
Adrian O'Connell striking with the fist. The referee gets the yellow card out again. Tipperary down to 14. 1 minute of additional time at the end of this match to be played. Kerry heading into the semi-final and heading for another meeting with Cork. Darren O'Sullivan. Colm Cooper, it's brilliant again from Donaghy. Pass in has to be accurate. So does the shot from Cooper. Accurate and Cooper, they're words that go well in the same sentence. 2-18 to 2-6.
Yeah, again, the ball broken down from Donaghy, and once again Cooper delightfully fires it over the bar. But you just mentioned they have the upcoming game against Cork now in a few weeks' time, and I just think watching Kerry today that they look fitter now at the first round stage than they would have done in the last couple of years. They've experimented quite a bit during the National League, and even though they've been in the last 7 All-Irelands, there looks to be a lot of hunger, a lot of fitness, a lot of sharpness out there, something that we didn't see actually early in the season last year. And I think the fact that they didn't get to the league final might have benefited them, that the players have been able to get away from competitive action for a number of weeks.
And Tipperary certainly tested Kerry for the first, 50 minutes when there were only 3 points between them. But Tip haven't scored since midway through the second half. Grogan's goal in the 17th minute, their last score. And Kerry have just put on an exhibition since then.
Yeah, it must be said, even though the game is one-sided, it is a privilege to watch Kerry playing.
2-18 to 2-6, the full-time score here at Semple Stadium in Thurles. Kerry only led by a point at half-time, but they pushed on as we expected them to. And a handsome victory for them in front of 4,965 supporters here at Semple Stadium. Tipperary, they have that long wait now for the start of the qualifiers. That's going to bring its own challenges to Tipperary's manager John Evans, but Jack O'Connor can now start planning for Cork, the All-Ireland final again, another Kerry-Cork match. That'll be quite an occasion. It's down for the 6th of June. Seamus Scanlon happy with his performance, and a good day for Kerry.
Yeah, a good day for Kerry all round. I think I'd say the one little area they might have a little concern about is their goalkeeper. He couldn't be faulted for Philip Austin's goal. Little bit uncertain for the second goal. They may look to him again and just see is he going to be there for the long haul. His kickouts, I thought, though, were very good. I thought the backline in general outstanding, and up front, like, they have so much quality.
Well, a nice moment there, Kieran Donaghy, getting pictures taken with the Kerry supporters who made the journey to Thurles, and they leave contented and happy this evening. They've Cork to look forward to, but Kerry have disposed of Tipperary by 2-18 to 2-6. They're in the Munster semi-final. Michael.
They are indeed. Dara Maloney and Martin Carney, your commentators at Semple Stadium in Thurles this afternoon. Pat Spillane, as the lads have said there, you were, as expected, safely through to that game against Cork.
Yeah, it's a case of mission accomplished. As I said at half-time, I just expected Kerry to move up another gear to perhaps third gear and just demolish Tipperary, and that's exactly what they did. They had, the bottom line, the difference between the two teams and the difference between Kerry and so many other counties is that Kerry have so many natural forwards, and all 6 forwards scored today. I think they scored something like 213 from play, and like I said, even Martin alluded to it, I think Kerry are fitter this time of the year than they were last year. Kerry have been on the road a long time. They're going for their 7th successive All-Ireland final, and I think it's vital this year that Kerry got a direct route to avoid as many matches as possible, and I genuinely think they're really going to be up for the Cork game. They want to come through the front door this time because there's a lot of mileage there, and the less games you have, the better.
Of course they're going to be up for that, Colin O'Rourke, but to pick up on what Pat... sorry, by the way, Pat, I want to bring up one little thing before we press on with the conversation. The GAA have been in contact with us about something that you did say a little bit earlier on in the programme. We were watching the Derry Armagh match. We were talking about the new rules, and you made the point that you thought that the teams hadn't been contacted until Friday about these new rules. Now, the GAA said that's not actually the case. They were contacted before that. Just, I'm sure you'd like to clarify that.
Normally I don't have to make my first mea culpa on the programme till about week 2, so I have to make my first mea culpa today. Yes, I was incorrect as far as I'm aware. I thought that they had been informed. I was led to believe that managers were only informed on Friday. Seemingly they were informed early in the week. Now, still not enough days to prepare, but what I can't understand is that when you think about it, that the first round of the first match in this year's championship between Galway and New York was actually played under different playing rules. But anyway, I accept the fact that I was wrong. They were and the other thing they said is, and please accept that seeing as the new rule, the referees are going to be a bit more fussy on the line today than maybe other days. So hopefully better days.
What is that supposed to mean?
More fussy. So hopefully better days.
You mean they're going to even become more fussy than they've been in the last 2 or 3
no,
years?
They're going to be left
no game
fussy.
At all.
They're going to be more fussy today.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Colin O'Rourke. Kerry have beaten Tipperary. They're on the road, as Pat said, Route 1 at the moment. Now, they're not going to read maybe too much into this, but at the same time, last year, after the first defeat of the season, which admittedly was to Cork, they were all over the place for a couple of weeks after that.
That's right. Well, I think the most important thing from today is that the main elements of the team are in rude good health, namely Gooch, Kieran Donaghy, Declan O'Sullivan. But there are problems. I thought the goalie today was decidedly shaky. Martin said that his goalkeeping was questionable, or he said he thought his kickouts were quite good. In fact, quite a few of his kickouts weren't good. He kicked one over the line and he kicked one straight to a Tipperary man.
Just to pick up on that pass, Dermot Murphy, obviously tough boots to fill, and the goal for Kerry being there for so long. What did you think of the keeper?
Yes, I would agree with Colin. He didn't have a great game now. No, he made one great save. His kickouts were quite poor. He had no chance with Philip Austin's goal. And I suppose maybe we'll have a look at it later on. There was a question of a square ball. But, well, look, it's his first championship game. Didn't have a great game, but he had a very good... He came through a good league campaign, so I think he'll improve.
Yeah, well, he could improve, all right.
You have to look at it in the context. Like, there's no chance of Tipperary beating Kerry. You know, and I mean, there only are two decent teams in Munster. I mean, the others are no good in terms of winning a championship. So, again, it raises question marks about the viability of the championship when you see a stroll like that. I mean, Kerry won by 2-18 to 2-6. You know, I mean, there was no tension in the game. And, I mean, the only remarkable feature of it was how extraordinary Kieran Donaghy is. You know, I mean, he's a veritable fairground attraction now. You know, the ball, no matter how high it goes, he takes it. He set up 1-8 and scored, or he set up 1-8 and scored a point.
OK, we're headed for a short break here on the programme. Back with more on this afternoon's action right after that. Welcome back again to the programme. So, as we've just seen in Thurles, Kerry have beaten Tipperary in this afternoon's Munster Football Championship action. So I'm sure a man who's quite pleased with that result is the Kerry manager, Jack O'Connor. And Jack, as you can see, joins us on the programme right now. Jack, congratulations to you. You went to Thurles, you had a job to do and you got it done.
Yeah, thanks, Michael. Yeah, we felt that it was going to be a tough game, and that's the way it transpired for about 50 minutes. You know, Tipperary made it very awkward for us, and they got goals at the right times. They got a goal in the first half that kept them in the game for a long time, and the goal in the second half brought them back into it. So, you know, we were happy enough the way we finished, but, you know, for long periods we were pretty sluggish.
The lads here in studio, Jack, were making the point, you know, that towards the end of the game that you coasted along to a fairly convincing victory. At half-time, however, there was only a point in it.
Yeah, but you might never realise, Michael, there was quite a stiff breeze then. It was very hard to kick. It was hard to get our kicking game going, and we were able to kick the ball a bit deeper in the second half and get Kieran and Colin more involved in it. And you know, we got good scores out of that.
And obviously, Jack, one of the big talking points going into this game was the fact that you were missing all those players that were part of your championship side of last year. So you had to reconstruct during the winter.
Yeah, there were 5 changes from the All-Ireland final team, but, you know, there's pretty good depth in football in Kerry, and I think the lads that came in now did very well. So overall, we're pleased.
And a word, I suppose, Jack, about your counterpart, John Evans, whom you know down there, obviously, in Kerry.
Yeah, John has done a lot of good work with Tipperary. He's had 2 promotions with them, and won a Munster under 21 championship, so he's done great work. And, you know, they'll have their day, and I hope they go well in the qualifiers.
Jack, one quick one for you before we let you go. We talked a lot in the studio here in both games today about the hand pass and some of the new rules that were applied in these games today. Any thoughts on that yourself?
Well, I was as perplexed as everybody else with the news about a week and a half ago that the new hand pass rule was coming in. I think it's ludicrous introducing a rule like that without, you know, without any prior kind of notice about it, or without it being trialled out in the league or the McGrath Cup or whatever. But anyway, it's there now. Anyway, we have to live with it. I think David Calder did a good job today. He actually explained to us beforehand what he was going to pull and what he wasn't. So I don't think it was a huge factor, but today. But somewhere down the line, there's going to be a critical call going against the team. There's going to be pandemonium, I think. So it just remains to be seen. I think the jury's still out in it, Michael.
All right, Jack, listen, thank you very much indeed for that. And of course, we appreciate you joining us here on the Sunday game this afternoon. So, Pat Spillane, Jack O'Connor knew about a week and a half ago.
And the referee, isn't it a bit ludicrous, Michael, when you think about it, that the referee's inside in the dressing room with both teams there to explain this new rule? And a new rule that wasn't tried out.
If Harry Goldick was doing them a courtesy of
course, yeah. But why didn't they try out this rule during the league? When the experimental rules went, I'm afraid I don't understand these rules. I don't know how rules are introduced, whatever like that. I was aware from Congress that the fisted pass was gone, you know, that anything goes. So why differentiate between a striking action in an overhead hand with an underhand? I can't. I'm still
quite apart from that, the underhand strike. It doesn't matter if you have a clear strike. It doesn't matter whether your hand is there or back here. You know, it's absolutely stupid what the referees are trying to do, because if they continue on this path, all that's going to lead to is, as Jack O'Connor says, quite a lot of controversy, because you have very similar hand passes being called a free and some being allowed.
Well, Joe, two of the important scores for Kerry in the second half. It wasn't about hand passes, it was about kicking the ball into the net.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're so composed and they play with such precision. You know, their passing is lovely. They're all lovely Gaelic footballers, must be said. And, you know, their finishing was excellent. Sheehan's a tremendous finisher, and it just shows you that he's viewed in Kerry as the weak link in the forward line, you know, that he scored a couple of goals today. But, I mean, the game, for me, was all about the rejuvenation of Kieran Donaghy. You know, that's the big story that comes out of today, the fact that Donaghy is, you know, back to his imperious best. I mean, look at this for a high fetch.
Fantastic.
I mean, people are saying that the art of high fetching is dying out of the game. I mean, has there ever been a high fetcher like Kieran Donaghy? I mean, he takes his place along with, you know, the Jim McKeevers and the Mick O'Connells of this world. I mean, what a fabulous high catcher. And his vision is peerless. And I mean, while he was there today, he just caused absolute devastation, because conceivably, because of the way Tipperary were playing, they could have stopped Kerry up and made it very difficult for them. And without Donaghy last year, Kerry found it very difficult against teams like Antrim and that, who were stopping up and playing a sweeper. But with Donaghy, all of a sudden, it releases all the pressure. The ball goes long.
Kerry,
and I mean, he's such a joy to watch as a
Kerry
footballer.
pulled away in the end column, but in fairness to Tipperary, they didn't kind of fold up in that game in the second half. And actually, in fact, Barry Grogan's goal gave them a right chance at one stage.
It certainly did, but it highlights a weakness that there has been in the Kerry backline for a while. Thomas Sullivan had a particularly poor game today and was substitute. Tommy Griffin, you know, it can be dodgy at full back, and you know, the Tipperary man is in the square, there's no doubt about that. Under the old rule, as we had in the league, it would have been perfectly legal, but that was outlawed. Here we had a clear situation of a forward being in the square before the ball, but the goal was allowed. I think in general, anyway, where there's a bit of doubt, the referee should always favour the forward rather than the other way around.
Is it possible... sorry.
Go on, yes.
No, I was going to say, is it possible the square ball rule has been changed without us being told?
But you know, one thing about the Kerry defence is that, remember, two things about the Kerry defence. 5 of that starting defence are over 30 years of age. There's a lot of mileage in them. And the second problem they have is, and that Kerry have had for a couple of years now, Kerry don't have a natural full-back. So when the ball comes in high, and especially without the commanding presence of Diarmuid Murphy, they're certainly susceptible under the high ball.
Very few teams.
We saw Grogan's goal. Grogan also had a goal chance in that second half that might have made a difference as well.
He did, and in fairness to Brendan Keeley, you know, Joe didn't think, or some of the boys didn't think it was a great save. I thought it was a great reflex save, and it was at a time when Tipperary were very much in the game.
I'd say probably Grogan, you know, he puts the ball over the bar. I'd say he probably was clearly thinking here of a goal, except that he got his foot under the ball. But it just showed like that a team like Tipperary probably created 4 goal chances and took 2. Obviously, you know, against a superior attacking force, Kerry could have problems in their backline.
But of course, your attitude is often determined by the opposition. I mean, there was no chance that Tipperary could threaten, you know, Kerry. I mean, like, for example, if Kerry were coming up to the athletic grounds to play Armagh in the first round, it'd be a very different sort of atmosphere and a very different sort of game. I mean, that was a run out for Kerry. It was a nice, pleasant run out. But it was no more than that.
Joe was talking about the influence of Kieran Donaghy, which was obviously very important in that Kerry team. There was one of the points that Walsh scored, for example, was a lovely little flick down from Donaghy.
Well, do you know, if we're talking about a man of the match, it's certainly between Donncha Walsh and Kieran Donaghy. Donncha Walsh did an untold amount of work. He's a very underrated player in Kerry, and he's usually the first fella that's hauled off.
Yeah.
He works very, very hard. But watch Donaghy here. This was fantastic hands. He saw Walsh free, and he palmed it down with the 2 hands. I mean, you know, you must remember that last year we talk a lot about the 5 Kerry players missing, but Donaghy didn't play in last year's championship. That's fantastic hands, fantastic vision, and that's a good young lad that just came in there, Barry John Keane from Cairns O'Reilly. He's scored 2 points.
But he's a genuine high catcher. I mean, he takes the ball right at the very pinnacle. I mean, he doesn't take the ball here when he's high catching. It's almost impossible to deal with him because he's got two such good hands, and his vision's terrific.
But what would you expect for a fellow who's about 6'11"? You know, that's what he's there to do. You know,
he's there to do it, and by golly, he does it.
He does it well.
Now, earlier in the programme, we saw Armagh come through in the Ulster Football Championship to set themselves up for a meeting with Monaghan. That's, of course, on June the 6th. Now, reflecting on today's game at Celtic Park, here is Joanne Cantwell.
Well, most of the action in this one happened in the second half after the two sides went into half-time. All square. Armagh had just edged ahead when Owen Bradley was sent off for Derry with 15 minutes to go. That was for a second yellow card. After that, up popped Jamie Clark with a goal, and that stretched Armagh into a lead on one they didn't relinquish. They even had to withstand a penalty which Gerard O'Kane saw saved by Paul Herity. It was also a significant win for the performance of Stephen MacDonald, who seems to be very much so returning to form. Stephen, you look to be very much enjoying yourself again.
Without a doubt, you know, I suppose I haven't got that many games left for Armagh, you know, overall, you know, but I have to go out and enjoy every match that I play for them now. But and certainly today, you know, getting the win made it even more enjoyable.
Wasn't it a vintage performance all round from the team, though, was it?
No, without a doubt. You know, we know we didn't perform to the best of our ability, but we certainly feel that we something to work on going into the Monaghan match now, and you know, there is big improvements there, but overall we're happy with the win.
What about the rules, particularly the hand pass seemed to be called up a lot today?
Yeah, you know, it's a tough one to call. You know, we had a referee in with us the other night, and he was saying that, you know, one kind of hand pass is grand and another kind isn't, but to us there was no difference in the both of them. But certainly it is a tough rule for the referees as well to be up to speed. But you know, so you have to, I suppose, feel kind of sorry for the referees on it.
Well, nobody's feeling sorry for Armagh tonight. They're still in the Ulster Championship, and next up for Armagh is Monaghan.
It's been a day of drama here in O'Moore Park, Portlaoise, but Wicklow are through to the next round of the Leinster Championship. They defeated Carlow by 3-13 to 12 points in a match full of drama. Great goals by Paul Earls, Leighton Glenn and Jacko Dalton, particularly in the second half, meant that Wicklow had an easy passage to the next round of the Leinster Championship against Westmeath. But the talking point tonight will be, of course, about the number of yellow cards. 13 yellow cards and 3 reds. 2 of those red cards were double yellows, but there was, in fact, 1 straight red. That's Brendan Murphy, the Carlow midfielder. And I'm joined now by Mick O'Dwyer, the Wicklow manager. Mick, what did you think of the game?
Well, I thought it was a good championship game. You know, it was tough and hard, and I didn't see any bad tackles in that game. I thought it was, you know, but I mean, in fairness to the referee, he refed according to the book now, and that's what's actually happening in our game. Up there in Croke Park, they're changing rules every other day, and what are they trying to do with our game? Trying to destroy it. In my time playing football, I can assure you, there wouldn't even have been 1 yellow card, never mind red ones, in that game that I saw today. That was a clean game of football. I mean, it was really hard and tough, but that's championship football, and that's what it's all about. I don't know where we're going with all these rule changes. It's crazy.
And would you ask the GAA in Croke Park to stop interfering with the rules?
I've been chatting with them. I was in, would you believe it, on 2 occasions for different rule changes. And we made recommendations, and not one rule of those was ever put into force. So that can tell you, like, they don't take any notice of fellas like me, because they think I know nothing about the game. But maybe I'm around long enough to know that we shouldn't be changing our game as often as we are.
And very briefly, Mick, because you're in your 7th decade, which is remarkable, and congratulations on that. Wicklow play Westmeath. Are you happy that you're in that Leinster Championship still?
Oh, I'm very happy, because it's great for Wicklow like him to get over the first round. So I'm looking forward to the game now with Westmeath, and I'm hoping now that we'll be played in a neutral venue, not above inside in Westmeath where we had to go last year. We had to travel all the ways up to Tullamore, which is only a couple of miles down the road for Westmeath, whereas we have to travel from Arklow, from Bray and from Greystones away in the east coast. So I'm hoping now that they'll make this a neutral venue. That's all we're asking for.
Indeed, Mick O'Dwyer, thank you very much for joining us. It really is a game that you should watch on the Sunday game tonight. But Wicklow, despite 3 players being sent off in this particular match, are in fact through to the next round. Full-time score, Wicklow 3-13, Carlow 12 points.
Don't you just love Miko's continued passion for the game? He's like a neutral venue, I suppose, like Auckland probably for the next round of the championship. Just to pick up there, Jonah, we didn't see the Wicklow-Carlow match. Carlow, of course, a couple of years ago, do you remember as well? They were involved in an extraordinary match when rules were changed, and I can't remember, there was
Nobody's spot
5
on.
or 6 red cards in a match.
He's spot on. I was at a pile of matches, you know, throughout the National League. And, you know, the crowd were bemused for most of the time. You know, the game is being neutered. There's no doubt about that. Players are afraid to go into a challenge. You know, people are treading on eggshells. You know, whenever somebody hand passes the ball, now they look to the referee to see whether it was okay. I mean, the game is being neutered. There's no doubt about that in comparison to hurling, where there's still the blood and thunder, which is the essence of championship. I mean, the whole point about championship is people go out and it's war. They put themselves on the line, man to man. And, you know, look at what's happening to the game. I mean, three red cards in that game and 10 yellow cards. I mean, the way the Derry game was refereed. I mean, the winds of political correctness are absolutely sweeping through Gaelic football, and they are starting to destroy it. They're destroying the fabric of the game, the ethos of the game, as was.
But let's look at another side of it, gentlemen, which is the people who are bringing in the new rules, Colin. They're GAA people. They're passionate people about their games, the same as you three guys are. So what's the problem?
Well, I wouldn't like to be playing myself under the present-day rules anyway, because I think the type of games that I played in and the fellas I played along with wouldn't survive in this current environment, because, you know, the games were tougher and more physical, and I think, in general, more enjoyable for the public to watch.
Definitely.
Now, what happens in time is the interpretation gets watered down. By the time the quarter-final of the championship comes along, I'd be very surprised if we have a load of this stuff. Like, what's happening now is you cannot have a good shoulder-to-shoulder really in the game. You cannot have any type of physical contact at all without